Major WWE character change pitched for Finn Balor. Pro wrestling analyst Sam Roberts recently pitched a major character change for Finn Balor after this week's WWE Raw. On his Not Sam Wrestling podcast, Roberts was shocked to see Balor getting cheered and CM Punk getting booed during the WWE World Title match. As a booker, Sam Roberts wanted to see Dominic Mysterio's return to cost Balor the contest against Punk. The analyst said, "I was watching this reminder of who Finn Balor, is, and even though he was kind of scowling at the end of the match, he embraced Punk. They hugged. They spoke. I think, because there's so much story going on, I don't know that we really sort of embraced the idea that this is a legit dream match, that we finally saw CM Punk versus Finn Balor. And we're really lucky that we got to see CM Punk versus Finn Balor. I think it's amazing. But I also think, man, I'm watching this. And I'll tell you the finish that I wanted as I was watching. And I don't know if it's healthy. I don't know what's going on. I've seen AI cartoons of him. I don't know what's going on with Dominic Mysterio. But as much as I have been pushing for the idea of Dominic Mysterio to be a babyface, and I think he will be a babyface. I think he will be a babyface by the end of this year. Man, after watching that match in Ireland with the whole crowd, man, they were so behind Finn Balor, and they were booing CM Punk. I couldn't help but think to myself, man, can you imagine the heat? If Dominic Mysterio, and I guess you couldn't do it on that show because Natalya had already turned on Maxine. But I think you still could have done it if Dominic Mysterio had come out and cost Finn Balor the match. Oh God, dude. Oh, it would have been so good. And I said, that's what I want. Isn't it interesting? That's the finish that I want. Balor should turn babyface before Dom in WWE. According to Roberts, Balor should be a babyface, similar to his previous WWE NXT run, where the crowd rallied behind him. He continued, that Finn Balor reminded me so much, and maybe it was because he had that old-school Balor Club t-shirt on. I had the Balor Club t-shirt. I was there in the NXT crowds, listening to that music. I was a big Finn Balor guy. And maybe it was just because all that came flooding back to me. I was like, man, I've been thinking about this all wrong. In my head, I was like, when the Judgment Day falls apart, Liv and Dom become babyfaces, and they go after what's left of the Judgment Day. But what if there's so much time to turn Dominic babyface based on what I saw on Monday Night Raw? What if instead of turning babyface right away, what if Balor turned babyface? What if Balor became the babyface for Dominic Mysterio to fight? And what if Dominic Mysterio stopped Balor from doing something like that? I mean, as good as Dominic was as the bad guy in his rivalry with John Cena, I think that having a rivalry with John Cena elevated Dominic Mysterio as a bad guy. And I think a key to becoming elevated as a good guy is to elevate you before you turn babyface, right? If you get Dominic Mysterio to a point where he's a top-tier heel, then when you flip him over to babyface, he automatically becomes a top-tier babyface. You don't have to do that work. Roberts predicts a heel Dominic Mysterio versus a babyface Finn Balor collision. Furthermore, Sam Roberts predicted that a heel Mysterio versus a babyface Balor match should take place in WWE. He added, I think that if you show us the Finn Balor that we got last night, if you remind us this is Finn Balor, former NXT champion, former first ever Universal Champion, former leader of Bullet Club, former leader of the Balor Club. I think if you remind us that that's the guy we're dealing with, then all of a sudden, if Dominic Mysterio is wrestling Finn Balor and Dominic's the heel, Finn Balor gets elevated to reminding people that he's that guy. He's the guy who's in contention for the World Heavyweight Championship. These matches between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio can be bad guy Dominic Mysterio versus main event. World Championship level good guy Finn Balor. And that's a rivalry that elevates Dominic Mysterio tremendously as a bad guy and will allow him to eventually turn babyface. And maybe by then, he could turn babyface with Finn Balor's help. Maybe there's a million things you could do after that. Maybe it's just because he was in Ireland. And maybe it's just because I was intoxicated by all the fans that were cheering for Balor and booing CM Punk.